Hey, good evening, you guys. Tonight I'm going to be doing some nails fit for a boss with some foiling and some stamping and some pretty glitter. So stay tuned. Hey, all right, I'm just going to be talking about what I'm doing here. So first off, I am prepping my nails. So there's quite a few steps that you want to take when you're prepping your nails. The first thing that I do is to scrub any remaining polish off with acetone. So you just want to get as much off as you can. I do leave some on the underside of my nails. That's just because it takes a lot of work to get it out and I was being lazy. Certainly it would be a good step to also remove that. So there you see I'm scrubbing my nails. I think I'll go ahead and speed that part up here. Let's see. So they're actually not even clean enough yet. The next thing that I always do after I remove all the polish with acetone is to rinse my hands with dish soap. So dish soap is really good at removing grease. You want to use dish soap if possible instead of hand soap. The dish soap that I have is soft touch, so that actually means that it is going to spare some oils. If you had some that was just straight normal dish soap, that would work even better. Oh, I kind of went off screen here. Let me get rid of this part where I'm at the sink washing my nails. So the way that you want to do that is you actually drop the dish soap right on your nail bed and then rub it in to your nail bed. And then very important to, with the water, make sure that you rinse off all the dish soap, especially at the sides and stuff, because if there is any dish soap remaining, then it's gonna interfere when you put layers down later. So your thumb and your first finger will also get really degreased in this process, so you can actually feel when your nails are ready, they'll kind of, instead of feeling smooth, they'll kind of go just like a cartoon almost. So they'll kind of feel like rough and like your thumb will skip over them a little bit instead of smoothing nicely along. And that's because you removed all the grease, which is the step, the point of this step. You want to remove everything, so we remove with acetone, and then we degrease with dish soap. So next step is to rub with an alcohol pad. I'm just gonna skip the footage here until we get to that step. Okay, I almost forgot. When you go to dry your hands after you wash them, you want to probably not grab a kitchen towel that you've been using for a while, because that may have grease on it from just continuous wiping. It may also have food debris, things like that, even if it is relatively new. They also have a lot of little hairs in them that shed, so best thing is to grab, I like using a paper towel. You'll want to go for a less shedding option if you have one, and then just rub them clean well. You just don't want to add any more grease when you're drying them. Okay, so alcohol swab. This is the last step before I start applying prep solutions to my nails. This is kind of overkill after we've already done acetone and washed with soap, but I like to go, if you want to go full overkill prep, this is probably the best prep that you could do, all these steps that I'm showing you. So alcohol swab, that's my last step. The alcohol swabs are they're already non-shedding, so they're kind of nice. Oh shoot, I forgot to mention, so when I wash my hands, that's when I push back my cuticles. I prefer to just do that with my fingers, with my fingernails. I just go like that and you just carefully push back. If you've been doing that for a while, you're not going to have a lot of cuticles, can kind of grow up in a layer on top of your nail. If you are consistently pushing them back in between manicures, that's not really going to help, or that's not really going to happen. So I didn't have any excess skin to remove really. I just have to push them back a little bit. When you're washing is a good time to do that. So that's what I did while I'm at the sink. Okay, so now I am applying pH prep. This is available from a lot of different companies. The one that I have there is a gelish pH prep. It doesn't require a lamp or anything. This is actually yet another degreaser, and it's also adjusting the acidity of the nail. I'm actually not sure which direction, but it's adjusting the acidity so that product can bond better with the nail. So that is the point of this step. And I didn't prep the other hand. That's because really all the prepping steps that I did already, I did already do them on my right hand, but by the time I get finished with my left hand, you're gonna have to do that prep again on the right hand, so I didn't want to waste the product doing this. Okay, so what I'm applying right now is ORLY primer, tip primer. So I just got this when I got my builder gel. It was part of the kit. It helps to adhere nail tips. Any sort of primer though is going to help all the product apply to your tips. So I just also applied this to all my nails. This is probably also a step that you could skip, or if you have a different primer, that would be fine to use a different primer. It doesn't have to be this exact one, but probably if you have a bunch of priming solutions, why not use them, you know? I also have a bonder from IBD. I think primer and bonder are the same thing. pH adjust is not the same as bonder, I don't think though. So okay, so all done with the priming step there. So I'm ready for the dipping. I'm just kind of waiting for it to dry a little bit there. So you can see my dip powders off to the side there. I got a seed bead kit and I put all of my dip powders in these little seed bead containers. It's not super ideal because they have little tiny holes in them that I had to cover with what's that stuff? Sticky tack, so that it wouldn't fall out. Oh, I grabbed a spoon so I can scoop over the nail if I wanted to. But I do like the containers, even though, oh, and I'm showing my Base Bond, Sparkle & Co. Base Bond. Base Bond is glue basically, and it's specially formulated for dipping. It doesn't really matter what company you get it from, though people who have been dipping for a long time definitely have preferences as to which one they like. I went ahead and asked a nail art board which ones people preferred, and a couple people said Sparkle & Co., so that's the one I grabbed. Now I'm showing you my white acrylic powder. That's all that's in that CB container. I got Mia Secret white acrylic powder because it's really inexpensive and very fine. Technically, the difference between acrylic powder and dip powder is that dip powder is supposed to be more finely milled. I use the gel top coat, so I find it doesn't actually matter if the surface is a little bit rough. You can also file it down, so you can use plain acrylic powder to do dip nails, absolutely. Okay, so here I am brushing my nail with the base. Again, base is just like glue. You do want to buy one, I think, for technically you could use nail glue, but I wouldn't do that. And then you just dip it straight in the powder. So I would say Base Bond made for dip. The types of Base Bond that are not gel, they do make gel, but the regular Base Bond, like what I have from Sparkle & Co., it works. It dries about as quickly as a quick dry top coat. So you do have to work a little bit quickly in this step. If you do take too long brushing it on and being so perfect, then it'll dry in little patches, and then when you put your nail down in the dip powder and pick it up, it'll be missing little patches. You might not notice until you dust the powder away later. But that will happen. That actually happens to me in this video, which is good because then I can show you guys how to fix that. It's pretty easy to fix. See right there along the side, you can see some clearer patches. And yeah, I didn't quite catch the whole entire nail. The painting process is just like you would paint with regular polish. You want to kind of try to back your brush up to the cuticle as far as you can go, but then you don't want to touch the cuticle. And then you want to just stroke nice and evenly, try to coat the entire nail surface. Later on, I do cap the nails, so that's where you take the brush and you just lightly brush along the tip of the nail. What that does is I don't know that you could see in here, maybe, let me see. It's not wanting to focus. So I actually have a layer of acrylic built up along the very tip of my nail. That helps longevity a lot because it can't lift from there. It can't lift from that side if it's capped over. But I don't think you'd want to do that on every step. I do that on the last dip that I do. And that's so that it doesn't get way too built up. You don't want to like a ton of product on there because that would feel strange. It would also have the appearance of a bubble. So you really only want to do that once. You probably could do it on the first dip though and just not do it later. I don't really know that it would make a difference. I've done it on my last, though it makes sense to me. All right, I was kind of trying to figure out Oh, this is where I attempt the ombre. So this was my first attempt at an ombre. Some people are really good at this with the regular base coat. You use brushes and you basically you paint with the glue and then you carefully tap on the different colors so that it creates an ombre effect. There's a couple mistakes here that I did on my first try. One, the gray that I used, I made most of these colors including the gray. The gray I made with clear acrylic powder and then I added some black mica in order to tint it dark. The issue with this is that it's not very opaque, so it just showed my nail right through. So I actually had to go back in with a white coat, which I do later. I was planning on speeding up this footage for you, but so far I've had too much to say. Anyways, so yeah, some people get very good at that. I actually found it difficult. Well, and I'm recording this in post, so you can see I didn't get a really good ombre. I didn't get a really soft ombre. It's kind of more of a harder line. So I think what I'm gonna do, they do make gel bases for dipping with. So I actually ordered one, and I think that I really like the regular base coat for when you're doing a solid nail and glitter nails. It's nice that you don't have to bake it. But when I'm doing an ombre nail, I think in the future I'm going to try to use the gel system because gel doesn't dry until you bake it. So then I can just take forever doing the ombre. Oh, I didn't even explain. So the problem with creating the ombre is you have to move quickly. Just like I said, when you're brushing on the glue, it will start to dry as quickly as a top coat. So if you're taking all this time tapping on, see, look at my thumb right there. Do you see that thumb? The powder's just not sticking to the bottom at all because I already expended all of my time tapping on the gray. So okay, so brushing off the powder, I haven't even talked about this yet. You do have to brush away excess powder. After I dip, I usually kind of like flick my nail to get off large amounts of excess powder, but you don't want to brush immediately with your big fluffy brush because the glue is still drying, so you can run the bristles down into the glue and pick up or create dents in your powder even, so you don't want to do that. But once they're all kind of dry, then you carefully brush away. Okay, so this is really good to show you guys how to salvage because I'm just showing you the gray color there. I was expecting it to be more opaque, but it was not. So especially my this finger, the ring finger there, you can see it's not very opaque. So that just means I need more coats. I like to do 2 to 3 coats of dip powder. I also like to do it across the entire nail. Some people say that you should go halfway down the nail and then like 3/4 of the way down the nail and then the full nail. The point of that is to build up an apex just like they do when they are painting acrylic on you the traditional way rather than the dip way. But I found it kind of I don't know, it's kind of lumpy in the middle. I don't like it. So if I want to create more of that smooth, well, and I can kind of show you the difference. So down here on these nails, I didn't bother to do any filing. It looks smooth enough to me. This one I did a little filing at the base, so it was just super smooth going to that cuticle, dropping down to that cuticle. And this one I did not. You can see it's not quite as smooth of a transition. It's built up a little tiny bit at the cuticle with product. I don't really mind that though. So, oh, okay, so here I'm just dipping in a shimmery powder. I made that one too. Making dip is incredibly easy, so I may record a video on that later just to show you guys. You have to order some things unless you have just a ton of eyeshadow because you can make dip from eyeshadow. It's really cool, but it's very easy to make dip powder. You basically just mix acrylic powder with colored powders, and you can buy mica powder. It's sold for soap making and things like that, or mica powder is also just sold as an eyeshadow. So you can buy plain mica powder, which is already loose, which is really nice, or you can use eyeshadow. That's a little bit harder because you have to incorporate it by crushing it really well, but I can show you guys that. But in this case, I just mixed a white shimmer with my favorite glitter, which is disco dust rainbow. It's rainbow, but it's actually white and it's just shimmery. But anyways, okay, what am I doing now? Oh, brush saber. Okay, so yet another mistake I made in this video. Typically you'd want to lay down a piece of computer paper. I'm just doing this on my silicone mat. you probably want something under there to catch all the glitter and dust, which is why it's good to do it on something. But computer paper is better because in between every time that you go and stroke your brush and lay down a layer of the dip powder, you actually want to take that base coat brush or your hardener brush, and you want to wipe it on the computer paper. Wipe away any dust first and then wipe it on the computer paper. It will waste a little bit of product, but what it does is it stops the powder from getting into the bottle, which will harden the brush up. Now, I had already bought this brush saver online. It's very cheap to buy it from eBay. You have to wait for a month or two, but yeah, it's just called Brush Saver. This one's from Born Pretty. But what you can do is you just put your brush in there, and you're supposed to leave it for a little while. And also you can see I'm kind of teasing the bristles, trying to get any product out of them. I could have spent longer doing that, but it worked pretty well. Because my brush had started hardening a little bit. This was the first time I had trouble with the brush hardening though, and that's because, again, I didn't have the computer paper down to brush the excess off onto. So if you just do that, you probably won't even need to use a brush saver. But it's good to know that they're out there. Okay, so I think I'm done fixing my brush there. What am I doing next? Dipping. I'm dipping again with white. So, yep, so they're not opaque yet. So I'll just kind of show you. Yep, second layer, you do it just like the first. You just paint over the first layer. Now you notice we didn't harden in between. It's not going to hurt if you do use the hardener in between every layer. It's you can still do it like that, but there's just no reason to. So you just lay down the glue and then dip. Oh, I should also mention my dipping containers. So these containers that I have are flat enough that I can, what you want to be able to do is when you curl your finger, you want to be able to fit your whole first knuckle there in the container so you can go down flat. Some people actually recommend dipping at a 45-degree angle. My problem with that is that since I made up all of my dip powders, I don't have enough to build up in a container so that I have enough to dip in that way. So I have to dip in flat. I don't actually find that it dips badly that way, so I don't see why not to dip flat. So I think that's fine. A lot of people, if your containers are round, which is very typical, you won't have enough space in there to dip in flat a lot of the time. What a lot of people will do is to just dump it out into like a muffin tin or something, which is nice because then you can just throw away the paper tin afterwards. A round container would work too, just something cupish so that you can have it built up. Yeah, these containers are really nice though. I do recommend them if you don't mind going through each one of the 72 containers and putting a little bit of the what's it called, the sticky tack on the sides. I do think they're good containers. But all right, I think I might end up speeding it up here to where I get to the hardening, because you guys kind of get the gist of what I'm doing. You lay down a base coat and then you dip it. That's all. Oh, my computer went asleep. Wake up, computer. There we go. Okay, yeah, and sometimes I use the spoon to kind of dip in there, but yeah, you guys get the idea. Oh, I didn't talk about the holes yet. So I think I'm about to fix one right now here. Here I'm going in with the orange stick kind of. I also didn't talk about that. If you do get excess on your skin, excess of the glue or the powder, you do want to try to wipe it off. Ideally, you'd wipe it off before you actually go in for the dip so that you'd actually remove the glue. You wipe it off quickly. I prefer a thumbnail for wiping off. I just think it's easier. So you go in with your thumbnail, you scrape kind of hard, you take your thumbnail and wipe it on a paper or something to get rid of that excess glue. If you don't do that and you miss it and you've dipped and you've noticed that there's some on your skin, it's really best to get that off before it dries. Ooh. Okay, so this is, I'm showing you how I fix a hole there. So along the whole side of my middle finger, or my ring finger, I'm sorry, I have two big holes. So you just want to carefully go in and fill those with the glue, and then you just dip only those sections in the glue. This does end up building up a little bit. You can kind of see there's more, because there's no way to just perfectly only fill the holes, so you're going to end up with a little excess in the area where you had already dipped that wasn't a hole. But later on, what you do is you just file it. It's really easy. You just file it down. I have an e-file, but you can certainly do it with a hand file also. So, yep, and there I am going with my thumb too. Maybe I should include this too, just so you can see it's pretty easy to fix holes. Yeah, I'm really not satisfied with how that came out. If I had laid down my glue a little bit better, this would not have happened. My whole entire left hand that I did, I didn't have any hole problems like this. So I think part of it was that I was filming, so I was distracted, trying to make sure I was getting good shots and all that. So it's not really typical to struggle this much with having holes at the sides. But I'm glad that it happened so I could show you how to fix it. Okay, so on the side of my thumb you saw there, I just went over it with the spoon. It's really your preference whether you want to dip or you want to spoon over or something like that. Either works just fine. I like dipping most of the time, but like the side of my thumb there, that would have been a really awkward angle to try to get it into the container. So at that angle, it's better to just use the spoon. And I like to use a baby spoon. I have some baby spoons because I think they're cute, so I picked some up. But if you don't have them, a small metal or a small like scraping tool or something. I don't have one sitting here, but those would work fine too. Although I find they don't hold as much powder as a baby spoon, so it might be worth it to just pick one up. Okay, so at this stage, yeah, I really am just going through and dipping everything again, so I am gonna speed it up, maybe until I get to the chunky glitter stage, because that's, applying chunky glitter is a little bit difficult, so I will show you how I do that. Boop, 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 boop. It's a kitten. She's so cute. Oh, he's a kitty. Okay, she wants down. Okay, so now I've gotten to the place where I've grabbed the chunky glitter powder. So how you dip chunky glitter powder is a tiny bit different. I mean, the way you do it is the same, but there's a little bit more aftercare, so I'll kind of show you that here. So here you see you just apply your base coat as usual. The issue is that when you dip it into the chunky glitter, there's going to be all these little chunks that are sticking up. So basically you just have to press them down carefully. Oh, and there I am showing you that I'm capping the nail there. Okay, so yep, you just press as usual. Chunky glitter I do think is better to go in from the top, so don't do a 45-degree angle for this. And you see I'm just carefully patting down. Also at the cuticle there's some that are riding right up onto the cuticle. You really don't want that, because you'd have to try to like file it later and it's not gonna work, and you'd probably have to dig it out of the nail, and yeah, don't let that. So any that are going crazy off the edge or anything, you just want to pat them down. And I would say pat them down rather than flicking them out, because you do actually want those glitters and you want them to lay down. You want them to just lay down flat so that you have a good amount of glitter on there. Yeah, gotta get that glitter. So yeah, and then you want to be kind of careful while the glue is drying. So in terms of time that it takes to dip it, it dries about as fast as a quick dry top coat. But in terms of how fast it takes to actually dry, I think it's more like a couple minutes. So especially with those chunky glitters, I've noticed for several minutes they'll be really movable. But if you did tap them down well and then you wait a few minutes, then when you come back and tap it, they're not going to move around very much. So that's what you want for when you go into top coat it, is so that they're not moving. You don't want to be top coating in wet glitter. I don't actually know what would happen if you top coat in the glue while it's still drying. I think it just wouldn't dry if you top coated it in with gel anyways. And I definitely recommend gel top coat because it's thicker than regular top coat. So I don't know why you would ever use regular top coat? Why would you do that? Don't do that to yourself. Let me see. Am I still working on the ombre here? Okay, I'm bored. I think you guys get all this, so I'm gonna skip this part, or not skip it, I'm just gonna speed us up a little bit here. Oh, here I'm filing. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, see, you remember that part that I said when I dipped it in the side and it came up with some ridgy areas? So you just have to file it down so that it's smooth and it all looks even. On the thumb there too, I had an area where there's just a little bit more sticking up, and it's really easy to get with a file because it's yeah, it's sticking up where that area is essentially double dipped, so you just have to file it smooth. Yep, it's not even really necessary because when you coat it with the top coat's gonna smooth it out, but it could look more opaque there, so I didn't want that. Oh, maybe I should show you this. So this is where I go back in to do the ombre again. It's a little bit more successful. So I guess I won't speed this up yet so you can see the ombre. You guys can always skip ahead in the video, I guess, if you're getting bored. Okay, so I didn't put polish over my entire nail because it's just drying at the bottom anyways. So I was like, what's the point of putting glue down there? Yep, tap, tap, tap. See, I just think this would work so much better over gel because I had to kind of try to pick up a lot with the brush so that I could get it on there fast enough. If I had a gel base that wasn't going to dry, I could carefully pick up very small amounts and just dust it very finely. I could take like, 3 to 5 minutes on one nail instead of here I'm trying really quickly to do it within like 20 seconds because that's all the time that I have for the glue to stick to this stuff. So there are people that do this amazingly, and they'll get the whole entire nail. I don't know how they do it. Something that I saw someone do, which I tried on my second nail, I didn't do it on this nail, so I did it on my thumb here. Let's see if I can get the, it's driving me nuts. It's not focusing. Focus, camera, focus. Oh, come on, camera. It's not gonna do it. It's not gonna show you. Sorry. But anyways, what they did is they sprinkled it on the top with the brush there, and then the rest of the nail they dunked. And then that created a nice ombre for them. What I found, again, I'm having trouble showing you because of my camera isn't cooperating, but it created a little bit of a line. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe I'll throw a picture up on the screen if I can to kind of show you. It's not a perfect ombre because the white really filled in the glue well. It is a cool looking effect, but it's not really a soft ombre. So I don't dislike it, but it's not a perfect ombre. So for an ombre, I think the gel would be best. Okay. So here I'm still working on the ombre. I guess one of the downsides I will mention doing this method where I'm just kind of building it up on the top of the nail is that the top of the nail then became thicker than the rest of the nail. I did file it down a little bit. It's really slight. It's very difficult to see, but it does affect the nail shape a little bit, whereas like this one you can see it's nice and smooth. This one is kind of like more bulbous at the tip. So if you're the type that's going to be really bothered by that, I would not use this method. Yeah, I think I'm probably pickier about nail shape than most people. What am I doing now? Oh, it's the gray again. All right, so I'm still working on the ombre. So I had one dark gray. That's what I used for the underlayer of the ombre. And then I'm going back in with this really translucent one. I made it all with translucent powder. But the darker, the darker it is, the more the color's going to show, obviously. I tend to like kind of translucent-y colors. Because especially if they're colored like pink or purple or something, if it's a little bit translucent and you can see the light of your nail behind it, it'll almost be like, it'll look like a color shift a little bit, which I think is fun. Okay, so I just dipped my whole nail there, and I was thinking because it was so translucent that the bottom would show, but that didn't happen. So what I did is I went in with my file later, and I actually filed off at the very bottom there. I filed off some of that polish. Sorry, I didn't. Okay. Bad hand signal. Okay, but I filed off the bottom of the nail polish a little bit so that the white showed, so it looked more like an ombre. And I could have filed it up more so it looked like more of an ombre. I just didn't do that. Oh, kitty. Oh, why you come for pets and then you want to leave? Oh, she's so cute, huh? I will get her. I will get her. This Stormfire. Ooh, she's so cute. Okay. Man, I'm really close to done with these nails, I think. Wondering if I should speed up the footage now so we can get to the hardening. Yeah, probably. Oh, there I'm going in with the orange cuticle again. You want to, yeah, see, it's hard to get off the longer you let it set, so just try to not get it down so far that you hit your cuticle or anything like that. I did end up with some around my cuticles. I think it's hard to avoid, like right in here and things like that. I know that there was a lot around there, probably because I was doing that ombre. You can pick it off later. Or you can take your file and gently file at it on your skin. If you're really gentle, it's you have a little bit of skin built up there anyways that's excess. It's not gonna like like, look, I don't have any skin damage from doing that. It's not gonna like take off layers of your skin, but you can kind of remove the hardened layer. It's not too difficult. Okay, so there, I'm going in for the rest of my ombre. I don't know, I'm so close to done now. I'm tempted to just watch through the video and entertain you with my cat if, if we need a distraction from how long it's taking. Or should I just skip ahead to her? Oh, so I didn't cap well enough on some of my nails, so there I'm just going in for the cap. I'm just doing that nail cap because it really does help it last long. You just, during the week, you have to avoid the impulse to try to pick it out. It's actually really difficult to pick it out with the acrylic anyways because it's so hard, which is great. So it's difficult to mess up later. You know, it kind of looked cool with that full gray nail too, without the ombre, but I actually am planning to add some stamping to this nail afterwards, and I might upload a video of that. So if you have an e-file, you could do it with a regular file too, but what you can do, if your top coat ever starts chipping off, or if you want to add something to it, I could actually stamp over the top of the top coat, but it'll work a little bit better. Gel top coat doesn't like to stick to itself because it's shiny sticking to shiny, so if you ever want to apply another top coat, it's best to just remove the top coat first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to file off the top coat on both of my ombre nails and probably my thumbs too, and I want to add a cool white stamp over the top of that gray because it's going to really pop over that gray. And then maybe I might add one on this nail too, but that might look like too much, so we'll see about that. Okay. So dusting. Okay, yeah, I'm bored. I'm gonna speed up to where I'm doing the hardener. Oh, I'm doing it now. That's so funny. Okay, so here's the solidify. So whenever you do dip, you require 2 additional things. I've seen some dip kits that are like, look at these 5 things you need. That's ridiculous. You only need 2 things. You need the base coat, which is the glue formulated specifically for dipping, and then you need the solidify. Solidify is what activates the acrylic. It's actually what the solidify stage is, or sometimes they'll call it a hardener, but it's like, you can see there, it's like a watery consistency. This is what they use when they do traditional acrylics. They'll dip the brush in that and then they'll pick up the acrylic with it. It's what starts activating and hardening it. That's why when they're doing traditional acrylics, they don't have all this time to be working with it because it's hardening as soon as you put that on there. So I'd say it takes like a minute or 2 to get fully hardened after you plop this hardener on. Typically, I've seen people recommend after you do the hardening stage is when you should go back in with a file and shape them a little bit, take off any excess that you want to take off, and I think I do that next. But then if you do take off some with the file, you just want to go back in with your hardener. You can't over harden it. It's just, if it's already hard, it's not going to harden it anymore to add more hardener. But what happens if you remove some of it with the file when you're shaping, then you've exposed acrylic that may not be hardened, because since we didn't harden every layer, it's not hard throughout. I don't really know why the advice is not to harden every layer, but it's not, so it must not be necessary. Okay, so I talked about how I removed the bottom of the gray layer to reveal the white for the ombre. This is where I'm doing that step. I recommend getting an e-file if you are going to be doing dip nails. This one I think was $70, which is not terrible. It's a very small e-file, so it's easy. It would be easy to pack if I wanted to pack. Also, I just don't like big things taking a lot of space in my house because I have enough stuff already. Have to have room for all of that glitter. But yeah, I find that the e-file is very easy to use. I also found for a different video that I did that I have not uploaded and may never upload, or I was showing how to soak off nails. I did one hand with a hand file where I was just going at my nail, hand filing it. It didn't actually save any time to do the e-file, which surprised me. But what it did do is on the hand that I hand filed, it turns out I was kind of like rocking it, and it's like it put all this side to side pressure on my nails. And later on in the day, that hand, it was kind of sore. And like if I tapped on my nail, it's like my nail bed was kind of sore. With the e-file, you're not having that rocking back and forth, so it doesn't do that at all. You do have to be careful with an e-file not to hold it in one place for too long, because it will get kind of hot. So there's a little bit of a learning curve. You don't want to turn it up to too fast. I have it on a pretty low speed here. I basically just turn it up fast enough that it's working. And that it's not trying to stop on itself when you apply pressure. As long as it's going that fast, you don't need it faster. The faster you go, the more dangerous it will be if you slip and hit your cuticle. In this video and in past videos, I slip and hit my cuticle all the time. I have not yet caused a bleed on myself from slipping and hitting my cuticle with the e-file. However, I have done that with the hand file. So, because when you're applying a lot of pressure and you have a sharp, not sharp, but a really rough thing, and you slip and you know, if there's a lot of pressure, you're going to do that. Whereas with the e-file, you're kind of doing it lightly. So you don't need a whole lot of pressure. So if you slip and hit your cuticle, you pick it up and it's, I don't know. Now you will notice I didn't really file the glitter layer a lot. You can file the glitter layer, but you run the danger of scuffing the glitter. If you scuff the glitter with the file, it's not going to be shiny. So you don't want to do that. Nope. Don't want to do that. Okay, so there I am going in with another layer of the hardener. Just like I said, after you file it, you do want to harden it again. Okay. I hope I get to the gel top coat soon. Okay, I am bored with this. I'm gonna proceed to the part where I get to the gel top coat. So okay, speeding through. So I just did a little bit more hardening and then I brushed some dust off my nails. And here we are, shiny gel top coat. So it doesn't really matter which gel top coat you choose. I like this one, it's pretty cheap. You can get it on enailcouture.com. That's E as in an elephant, and then type in nailcouture.com. That's where that one is located. This one is a no wipe top coat. Typically gels are, there's wipe and no wipe. A lot of gel top coats will require you to take an alcohol swab and wipe off a little bit of the sticky layer after you cure it. This one you don't have to. Why am I filing my nails again? I thought I got to the top coat stage. I don't want to watch this anymore. Darn. Okay, well, hopefully, come on, do the top coat. Well, I guess it's important to point out, once you do the gel, you really don't want to disturb it by filing it. So if you do notice any last minute places where you need to file, you do want to try to do that before you gel top coat it. Gel top coat's really shiny. If you take a file to it, it's going to take away the shine. It will also disrupt the integrity, so it won't last as long. Here we go. Okay, so something you'll notice when you are top coating dips, whether you use regular top coat or gel top coat, you need a lot more than you typically would need. There's a reason for that. So when you look at they're really matte. It's because if you were to zoom in with a microscope, what it is, there's all these bumps and ridges because you dipped acrylic powder. So all the powder creates little bumps. The reason it takes so much is because all of the polish, the top coat, is going in and filling in those bumps. But that's why when you put a coat on, it's basically going to disappear. It's because it's rushing into all those little divots that you can't really see well with the naked eye, but they are there, and it's filling the little divots. So it takes a lot more. If you do with regular top coat, you need to go in with a second coat after the first one dries. And honestly, from most of the videos I've seen, you probably need a third coat. Gel top coat, you see, I'm going in right away. It sucks up all the gel polish, and then I just load my brush again and put more on. That's okay to do with gel polish. With color gel polish, you don't want to put a thick layer on, but with top coat, I haven't really had an issue with putting thick layers on. If you do have an issue with premature peeling with your gel top coat, maybe try thinner coats, but I don't think that it matters very much. Reason being, when you do gel color, the color itself stops the light from penetrating down and curing it. So if you have thick color, the light cannot cure the full layer, so it's not actually cured, which is why it will peel prematurely if you do thick color coats. The top coat is clear, so the light gets right through. It's going to cure the whole layer no matter how thick it is, basically. So go ahead and do a nice thick top coat. You notice I also did cap the top. It's important to do with your top coat too. You don't want it peeling away either. although the top coat will probably peel before your dip. You can go in and add extra top coat. Like I said, you can file it off, or you can just paint over the top of it. It won't stick as well because it likes to peel away from itself. It likes to peel away from shiny layers. Something you could do if you didn't want to file it off entirely, like with an e-file, you could just buff the surface of the top coat. That would also allow a second top coat layer to stick better. But anyways, okay, here I'm going in with, oh yeah, I haven't quite yet top coated. Look how shiny that is. Look how beautiful and shiny that is after the gel top coat. You're not going to get that shine from a regular top coat, okay? Oh, I didn't even talk about the lamp. You do need a lamp, an LED lamp to cure gel top coat. Just get one. It's worth it. You have to have gel top coat. Gel top coat is the best nail invention ever, even better than dips. So pick up a gel top coat and pick up an LED lamp. When I have this a Sally Hansen LED nail lamp, it comes in the gel starter kit. Sally Hansen also has an LED light that's just for one finger. She released that for strips, so make sure you don't get that one. You want the full one. But you saw what it looks like. It's kind of like a C-shaped thing, and it's orange, and you can stick all your fingers in. There's a picture of it on the front of the box. I believe you can still find the starter kit on eBay, the Sally Hansen starter kit, for about 30 bucks, so it's very reasonable. You'll also get a base and top coat, and yes, you can use the top coat, just like I used my top coat here. Of course, this top coat is really plump. The Sally Hansen one, I don't believe is quite as plump, so you might actually need a couple layers. I also don't know how that one would hold up to doing really thick. I assume it would do fine, but I have not tried it. There is a difference in quality between gel products. Some of them will peel faster than others. Sally Hansen is the one I started with. I still use a lot of Sally Hansen gel colors, but I do prefer some other brands now, including OPI and IBD. Those are really good brands for the top and base coat. If you do get into gel, I'd recommend IBD or OPI base coat. I typically use OPI base coat, and I have a bunch of IBD top coats. And a new one that I like, what is it called? Ooh, it's the same one that I use the primer for. They have a builder gel. I forget, that was too, it's been, I just forget, I can't remember. That's a good brand too though, and I have their builder gel, which is magical. I'll go through that in another video. Builder gel is different than top coat. It's very cool. All right, so now I'm just top coating the thumb. I'm basically done with the manicure now. So I just cure that, and then that's it, I'm done. So I think I might actually end here. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I was going to try to do some foils and some stamping. I did try to do all that, and I did record it, but I feel like this has been long enough already. This has been, well, from my perspective, almost an hour. I'll cut it down, but that's enough. That's enough time for how to do dips. So anyways, it didn't work. It just looked like too much. It was, this design already has enough going on, I think. When I tried to add the leopard print to this nail, which seems like it would be really cute. It made it look too childish, in my opinion. I loved leopard print, but I didn't like it. Probably just because of the full glitter nail. This is already too much of an accent, so it was like too much accenting going on. And then when I added the foil, I tried to add it to this nail and to my middle finger. It just like, it looked messy or something. Foil is best over a dark coat, so probably just the fact that I was trying to do it over light, it just it didn't make as much sense. If I did it on all my fingers, it would, but on one finger, it just kind of looked like what's the issue with that nail? So, anyways, there I am whipping out my stamping stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna end this now. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and stick around for my outro. Hey guys. Alright, all finished. I actually ended up not doing any stamping or foils because I thought it looked more professional or clean or something that way. So they're pretty simple, but pretty cute. I did one really sparkly nail and then the gradient nail. I actually like how the gradient turned out better on my left hand. I'm sorry, my right hand. But anyways, yeah, these should last about 2 weeks since they are made of the dip. I highly recommend dip polish or dip system. It's actually acrylic, not polish. But yeah, I recommend doing dips if you want polish that's going to last for a couple weeks rather than gel is better than polish and dip is better than gel in terms with longevity. So I hope you guys liked this. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you did like it. Thank you so much.